Hi, my name is Asmita, and I'm here to talk about my dog Noodles, who I lost 2 years ago, which I can't believe it's been that long already. So Noodles was a rescue dog, and we found him. I think he must have been about a year old, and we found him on our street, and he had no fur. He was pretty close to death. So we brought him home. We already had 3 dogs at that point, and we definitely, weren't planning to get any more. But my mother, just looked into his eyes and fell in love with him, and she had to, rescue him and take care of him, and then we decided to keep him. So we had to treat him pretty intensively because he was he was in bad shape when we found him, and once he started to grow his fur back, we realized that he looked exactly like one of my other dogs, Leo, who was a golden retriever, which is when we realized that he was a golden retriever as well. Basically, the family that bought him or got him just realized, I guess, that having a dog was an actual responsibility and not an aesthetic, and they just threw him out when they couldn't handle him. And as a purebred dog who has been probably bred and then taken care of his entire life, Noodles just obviously couldn't handle being on the street. We also don't know what else he had gone through, because apart from his physical issues, he had a lot of mental issues as well. He was a very scared and anxious dog, and it took us a really long time to build a bond and for him to start to feel safe in our house. And he was with us for about 6 or 7 years, and it took him at least, I think, 2 years to start to be able to not be scared. But even then, even up to the end of his life, there were 2 or 3 spots in the house that he would stick to and where he felt safe, and he would always just be there. But in terms of my relationship with him, it was so nice to see it evolve, because it started with he wouldn't let anybody touch him. He would get aggressive. He would snap at people if they touched him, because I think he must have been abused. And then slowly he began to let me touch him on the top of his head, and that was the only place that we were allowed to touch him. And as he healed physically and mentally, slowly we were allowed to pet him in other places, and it was always a new sense of achievement or accomplishment for me to be able to pet him in other places, like his neck or his face or his paws. And slowly he would stop growling when anyone touched his paws, and that was a huge sign of progress, and it felt really good. I still I could never roughhouse with him or play with him the way I played with my other dogs, because he was very anxious baby. But by the end of his life, he'd gotten comfortable, and he finally did start seeing it as his home, which is why it was so sad when he passed away, because he just had, I think he had a heart attack. He was being a little bit he was acting a little odd the previous day, and when we took him to the doctor, by the time we reached the hospital, he had passed away on the journey. And that was really surprising and heartbreaking, and because it wasn't even some serious illness. He went on a walk the previous day when he was acting strange and he wasn't eating. He still went on a walk. He was still really excited to go on the cart when he was on the way to the hospital. He was super excited because he loved car rides, but somehow he just passed away. But at least I think his death was not very painful and he was happy right before he died, which gives me some comfort. But it was really sad because he was the last to come into our house and the first to leave. And I feel really bad that he only had, such a short life, and the beginning, the start of it was so hard, and it left him with so much trauma that he spent almost his entire life recovering from. And I like to think that, we gave him a home and a good life, but it breaks my heart to think that he had to leave it so soon. But yeah, and a little bit about him was that he loved playing with my other golden retriever, Leo. Loved car rides, and he loved getting his head scratched. Even when he was uncomfortable with the rest of his body being touched, if you patted his head, he would just sit there motionless forever. And if you took your hand away, he would put his paw on you to remind you to keep going. And I loved that. And I would just sit with him for hours in his little den, one of the places that he felt safe, and just pet him. And he loved it. And, as our relationship grew, he would sometimes rest his head on my lap, and I would live for those moments. So yeah, that's the story of Noodles. If I had a message for him, I would just want to say, hi Noodles, I miss you, and I hope you're very happy right now, and there are lots of cars to ride on and autos to be in and running around that you can do, and everything feels safe for you, and then nobody's hurting you, and you're happy and you're safe, and yeah, you're at peace, because that's all I wanted for you. And everybody misses you. After you passed away, all of your brothers and your sister were really confused about where you had gone, and they looked for you. And we all miss you very much at home, and I hope you're happy.